Y'all don't think when y'all say stuff like this, because do you know how many women have done things the right way? Do you know how many women have leaned on Christ and did everything the Christian way? Who lived by what the Bible has says to do when it comes to women interacting with men and becoming the perfect helpmate to the best of her abilities, and still got manipulated, and still got abused, and still got left, still got harmed, and sometimes unalived. Y'all thinking these conceptualized ways of dealing with the world rather than practical ways of dealing with the world, and then wonder why women get put in such bad fucking positions. This is because you're not talking with your daughters, and you're not preparing them for the real world to deal with the real people and deal with real men and to deal with real predators. Because where you might be learning through Christ, and you might be leaning on Christ, and you might be living in a way in which Christ would want a woman to, it does not mean that the people that you're interacting with in this world is doing the same thing. And I want us to get to a point to where we start being fucking practical and we start using our noggins. God gave us brains. We need to fucking use them. This is stupid. And I'm not saying don't believe in what you believe in. I'm not saying don't lean on Christ. I am saying you need to be fucking real when we're dealing with real people in this real world to protect our real children.
I'm going to say this with love, and this is not coming from someone who is Christian. I'm actually Buddhist, but I used to be a Christian minister. I started to see a war on Christianity and of men and women of God, and though I may be Buddhist, I do have faith in a higher power. I do have respect for something that's bigger than me. Bear with me as I share my perspective about this. Focusing on Christ is conceptual and practical. It's a mindset and a way of life. The problem is people try to treat it like it's one or the other. So the conceptual side is the mindset and the faith. The practical side are the actions and the discipline. So there are many reasons why women who are Christian end up with the wrong man. And it has nothing to do with whether or not they did what they were supposed to do as a woman, as far as tithing, praying, the typical things that a Christian woman would do, right? But there are some things that Christian women do that ends up making them end up with the wrong man. First of all, you got to trust God's plan, okay? You have to have patience over desperation. And a lot of times women just want to be married, so they end up just married to the wrong person because they was rushing through it. And then you have to have confidence over fear. Women be knowing they don't have to settle for less, but sometimes women do. And then there's this thing called discernment over emotion. And a lot of times women don't be using that. They be using their emotions over discernment all of the time. Women who aren't Christian do that. You got to be so close to God to hear God's whisper in order for your discernment to even work properly. So it's a lot of women out here whose discernment is way off, like your radar is fried. The practical thing you could be doing is your actions. You got to be out here moving with wisdom, positioning yourself wisely. Don't just sit at home and wait for a man to fall out of the sky. Got to go to the right places, maybe church, maybe networking events, interest-based groups, whatever. Then you got to start observing the actions of the men you are dating and stop just listening to their words. A man can say he's godly and not be living it. Another practical action is you set boundaries and sticking to those boundaries. And a lot of women have a difficult time with that. They want to give men the benefit of the doubt. Over here ignoring red flags because they want to be graceful and they want to be forgiving. And they have to have faith and action. Pray for guidance. Believe in love. And let God handle the timing. A lot of times when you do that, you have the most amazing results, whether you are a Christian woman or not. But a lot of women just don't do those things. So that's why when they're following Christ and they're doing what they're supposed to do as godly women, they still end up with a man who isn't the best. Because there's still some lessons that they themselves need to learn.